Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Tune in Saturday evening at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio for our Valentine's edition. You'll love it.
Wonderful.
Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturday evenings at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio. Entertaining, enlightening, and inspirational. Topical with CI cultural and heritage flashbacks. And the wonderful music of yesteryear, from the Thomas Edison era to the recent past. Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio, 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman and 91.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. That's your Yesteryear Musical, Valentine's Day Primer, Saturday, 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio.
Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on another fantastic Friday edition of Talk Today. If you're watching us on YouTube, you see a gathering of the elders, common wisdom and knowledge and expertise as we share with you. A collective millennia, more than that, of history. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow, Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks very much for joining us. And thanks to your opportunity to be able to sit and facilitate, learn and engage, and to have the, I guess, as I would say, be on the tutelage of Mr. Loxter Banks. Sir, thank you very much for putting together another fantastic panel with a discussion that is not only timely, but perhaps for posterity and for a future, important that we have the discussion. So thanks, sir.
Well, I think it's an important subject, beach erosion, and it's been with us from looking across the state river with Dr. Mike. From everlasting. I mean, there was beach erosion when we were growing up, but it was naturally replenished.
That's right.
Yeah. And
yeah. And this is where I'm glad that we have this chance to have this discussion, to be able for those of us who may be under 50 or under 15 to those of us who may be looking for 115, on our own mileage. If it's okay with our guests, Dr. Steve, perhaps starting with you first, sir. Maybe let's go around the table, Mr. Nick and then Captain Cam. Short, quick sort of intro, bio discussion. Set the stage for us. Mr. Steve? Good afternoon, welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. And why is this discussion now ever more important than ever?
This discussion is very important because remember now, before we even had the financial industry, the only thing that we had was turtling, fishing, and selling the commodity now that now is sort of eluding us is the beach.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing we sold. When we built our first hotels here, the Galleon Beach on the beach and stuff, because we had the hotels before. We had Bayview, and we had people like hotels and little guest houses on North Shore and South Shore Street. But when we built the first hotels here, what attracted them was the beautiful beach that we had. That's what attracted them, and the first people who came on the beach were two people from Philadelphia, we call Payne and Claudia. They built the first houses on the beach. They built the first houses on the beach. So the beach was everything that we had. It was our main natural resources that we had to offer. So that's why it was very important today that now we don't have the beach anymore, mostly. And that is because when people came here who did not understand the beach system, who did not live on beaches, who did not live near the coastlines anywhere, they did not understand. And when they were asking the generation that existed then, the people like Captain Paul and all those people that were there, they didn't listen to them. What they did, they ignored them. I remember I had a conversation with a gentleman one time, and I was telling him that we were, I think it's Victoria House. The turtles would come up there, and you could go and buy dog food in a bag and feed them, and so forth. And we were down there. I had some people showing them how friendly the turtles were. And he came down there, so he says to me, "What are you doing here?" I says, "I'm feeding the turtles." So he says, "Are you a guest here? Do you want to canoe here?" I said, "No, sir." And then he said, "Well, you're not allowed to be on this beach." And then I asked him, I said, "Well, where are you from?" He says, "Wisconsin." So I said to him, "How long have you been here?" He says, "Oh, I got a condo here, up a third floor." And I say, "Well, when you came here, did you bring in the beach with you?" And he got very arrogant with me and chasing me off the beach, and I would not leave. The people who were the manager of the condo were MacArthur Borden's brother and his wife. They came down there and they spoke to me. I didn't leave that day, but I could see from then that there was going to be a problem with the beach. Now, I brought this blue book here, and the reason why I brought this blue book here is because people believe that the protection of the beach and the protection of Caymanians' rights to the beach only started a few decades ago. But the protection of Caymanian rights and on the beach started back in 1882 with the prescription law. The prescription law wasn't enacted 10, 15 years ago. The prescription law was enacted back in 1882. That's when the prescription law was acted in. And this is I have the original law here. It says 4th of February 1882. And section 4 says, when any beach has been used by the public or any class of the public for fishing or for purposes incident to fishing or for bathing or recreation, and any road, track, or pathway passing over any land adjoining or adjacent to such beach has been used by the public or any class of the public as a means of access to such beach without interruption for the full period of 20 years, the public shall, subject to the provisos hereinafter contained, have the absolute and indefeasible right to use such beach, land, road, track, or pathway as aforesaid, unless it shall appear that the same was enjoyed by some consent or agreement expressly made or given for that purpose by the deed in writing. What this all said in 1882, on February 1882, if you were using the beach for any of these purposes, public fishing, fishing, and recreation, or bathing, or anything, you had the you know what indefeasible means? It can never be taken away. It lasts forever. Not only the beach, but the roadway to the beach. And so today, here we are now. The thing that we were given the rights to use from 1882 does not exist anymore, because we allow other people to come here and to destroy it.
And Mac, the thing about it is most of it is gone. It's gone.
It's gone.
I think let's move on to Nick. Just a short thing. Nick Robinson.
Robson.
There you go.
Hmm?
My academic background, just to throw that out there for what it's worth, is peacemaking, which I studied with the United Nations and at postgraduate level in the UK. But what I wanted to bring out, which I was mentioning to Steve a few minutes ago, in a number of island nations that I have visited, and one I was in last week, which is Bermuda, but also in some of the Hawaiian Islands and the Seychelles, no buildings are allowed to be constructed on the seaside of the road. You've got your coast road, all the hotels, condos, everything else are on the landward side of the road. And that is one of the major mistakes we made. And in fact, to go even further, in the Seychelles, if you have a tourism development that has, for instance, a segment of swamp or mangroves on it, by law, you are not allowed to fill them or drain them. They have to remain intact. And, you know, when you think about perhaps what is about to happen to our central mangroves, that we have to be very careful with, I think.
And of course, we know the beach has been eroding, and there's been impediments that or assists that have been man-made along those beaches that's exasperating that whole process, and it's on a, I would say, accelerated path these days.
Yes.
Yeah. And also we have with us Captain Kim, and everybody I think knows Captain Kim. He's been around here for a long time. He's I guess part of the diving business from the beginning, and
yes.
He was also associated with the Louisiana State University LSU program that was here many years ago. Dr. Roberts, who did a lot of surveys and a lot of scientific looking at the sand flow and where it goes and how it comes and where it comes from and all of these various things. And of course, Cam was more or less his right-hand man for a long time. And, well, he and I have walked these beaches, as Dr. Mike has, for Dr. Mike probably for 85 years.
Yes.
Yeah. Cam and I, 83 years maybe. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, and I don't think we didn't just walk the beach. We looked at what was going on the beach. And you could see, even back in those days, there was erosion, but the beach was replenished naturally. And there, you know, it would come and go. And I will hear a little bit from Donnie Ebanks in just a little bit. And also we're going to connect up with Captain Paul and Captain Owen, who, like most of us here, who have walked these beaches time and time. And so what you'll be hearing today is the accumulation of probably 400 or 500 years of looking at what's happening along the beaches. And somewhere in there's got to be some wisdom And maybe if we got time, we'll have a little musical piece kind of dissecting with the beach and Valentine, Mike.
Yes.
So I don't know if we want to take a break now, Paul, or we go to a break and then we're going to connect up with Donnie right after that, because he wrote a response to an editorial in the Caymanian Compass in 1997 when they ran an editorial about the beach erosion at that time. And there were some succinct points that he pointed out at the time. And, of course, this was widely circulated. It was printed in the Caymanian Compass, but we got some break, so let's go.
Valentine's Day is around the corner. Your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, is here. Valentine's Day cards, gifts, and more. Don't break the bank to show your love this Valentine's Day. Whether you're shopping early or scrambling last minute, Valentine's Day made easy at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway we're introducing the new boneless hot sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
February is here. Don't let the motivation fade. The MedLab team would like to encourage you to stick with your 2023 resolutions.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Barry's Golden Jerk, the Cayman Brac sensation, ranked the #1 restaurant in Cayman Brac by TripAdvisor and home of the authentic jerk. Barry's Golden Jerk, serving large portions of the best jerk chicken and pork. Open Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday near the airport, or call 917-6713. Barry's Golden Jerk. It's simply better.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And we're back, and I'm not sure whether we've got Donnie on the line. We've got Donnie on the line, but before we go to Donnie, we'll just speak with Captain Kemp here for a second. Now, Kemp, you saw all of this movement of the sand from, be it out around Northwest Point into the beach and up to Pullman Down Point and all back and forth. Tell us that.
I studied that all the time, and then when the university came here, they started a group. It wasn't. It was like 6 or 7 people would come this year, and they would do the same thing that I learned from him, and then we started. And what happened, you see, is this. I'm going to be straight with you now. We took samples, Stingray City. I can tell you, that's the most beautiful thing you ever seen in your life. What is in Stingray City? Little things I never seen them before. And all kinds of things. And he put that in a glass cage and took it back to the university. And he never ever told me what it was. But what happened now, if you want to know about the beach.
Now, quickly, how it moves.
It ain't nothing quick about it. I can tell you that. You remember Norberg when he built that
Cayman Paradise?
The apartment.
Coming in the condominium or so stuff.
Yeah. South.
Yeah, aristocrat apartments.
Okay.
That's right.
You remember it had two beautiful coconut trees and sand. Okay. Now, I don't know who gave them permission or who was in charge of it, but whoever it was made a big mistake. They brought down a drag line and it was on a barge and dug it was a channel right there, out straight from the Norberg place. But it was filled up, you know. Now, if you want to come into what I know, Pull Me Down Point, them boys call it Pull Me Down Point, but whatever.
Pulling Madame.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Now, you see, what we learned, the tide comes from south there, a certain time, and it goes down almost out to the main channel of the big, the land and this. And we learned from that the sand from 7 Mile Beach. Now, I mean, I dove with Dr. Roberts, and I done everything. But what happened, Paul tell you when you get him, the sand is a tumbler, tumbler. And it's tumbling, and stuff comes out of it, it might be a bottle or a rock or...
Shells.
Whatever. Might be a gold ring too.
Yeah, sometimes.
And that would go right along to get down by where the dock is. The dock that is there now. And
in Georgetown, this is.
Georgetown dock. But now, when it gets there, half of it goes under the dock, roughly and a half. And when the dock was built, well, that's me again now. I built that. I done all on the water work. Those pilings was 47 feet across, each one. It took 36,000 bags of cement.
Jesus.
I remember that. And we worked 24 hours a day, non-stop. And
that was in pouring the concrete.
Pouring the concrete.
Well, Kim, I tell you what, we got Donnie on the phone, so let's go to Donnie and get a little bit, and we'll come back to you. And we've got the sand from Pull Me Down Point down to Georgetown Harbour, and we can take it on down.
Not the Georgetown Harbour.
Well, the Georgetown area around the dock. So, Donnie.
Yeah, hello, thing.
Yeah, well, welcome to Talk Today. And we came across your letter to the Compass editorial that was done in 1997, and of course that's 25 years ago. We know that as we've been mentioning around the table here, that this beach erosion thing has been with us, I guess, forever. But you made some points in that letter that you wrote to the Compass editorial staff or whoever wrote it about some mitigation things that we should practice. And can you just maybe bullet point them for us in a minute? Donnie, you still there?
Yeah, you said you came across this letter that I had written from it 25 years ago.
Right, yeah.
After that.
Yeah, and in it you said that there should have been at least 25 feet wide strip of vegetation. That is from where any building should start beyond that.
Well, look, I mean,
something's wrong with the line, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Don, maybe we can come back to you a little later, but what is, we know that you had a lot of input there at that time, 25 years ago, and, it should be something that a lot of the folks, the power brokers, should be paying attention to. And it must be something wrong with the line. Hopefully that you're still listening, that we appreciate what you contributed back there in 1997, and hopefully that some of the power brokers in this day will go back and look at that and maybe implement some of what you suggested at that time, because you came at it from an engineering standpoint. With you were I think head of public works for a long time, and actually you acted as governor and deputy governor and all of those kind of things. So your input there, was very valuable. It should have been considered very valuable at the time. So
the problem was if nobody paid attention.
Donnie, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I would just say that, I mean, all I was expounding then was what I brought from North Side as common sense. And that is that you cannot expect to sustain a healthy beach if you strip the vegetation from the ridge.
That's right.
It's like stripping the bark off of a tree. And we have practiced that behavior for the last 30 years. We've seen the implications of it. We saw recently Marriott taking gas from a beach that they destroyed to one of the few remaining sections of 7 Mile Beach that developers and development have not yet ruined. And if we can't see what we need to do, I don't know how we're going to ever see it. Because, I mean, there is no reason why we cannot institute a provision that all properties have to have such a strip. It will mean that some properties have to move back. Some properties move back as it is. We've had significant redevelopment. Or we redevelop the same nakedness to the sand, and it isn't going to stay there. Seawalls do nothing to protect the beach. They are only ever intended to protect the buildings that were built too close to the water.
Well, very well said, Don. I just before we let you go, do you have anything to say about maybe you're here to talk about replenishment? I mean, I think the general view of replenishment is if you bring it in, it's going to go before you know it. It'll be gone.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you got a leaking tank and you keep pumping water into it, if you sit there and leaking and you keep getting the water truck come and push water into it, I don't think you solve any problem.
No, true. But Don, I want to thank you for participating, and we'll talk with you a little later.
Yeah, man, pleasure. You have a good group. I'm going to listen.
Oh, okay, pal. Okay. I don't know, Paul, do we need to take another break? Yeah, we got to take another break. And Kim, then we're going to come back to you after the break.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
February is here. Don't let the motivation fade. The MedLab team would like to encourage you to stick with your 2023 resolutions.
Apply today to the Walker Scholarship and Legal Training Program. You will join the Walker Scholarship and Legal Training Program, knowing that you will be offered more, both throughout your time in the program and after qualifying as a Cayman Islands attorney at law. Preparing Caymanians for a career of excellence through mentorship, opportunities, repetition, and experience. Be sure to have your application submitted by 28th of February 2023. Visit the careers section at walkersglobal.com to find out more about Walker's Cayman legal scholarships, articles of clerkship, qualifying work experience, and legal internships.
When we can't find the words to express ourselves, the right greeting card does just that for us. This Valentine's Day, greet people with love through our wide selection of Hallmark cards and more at ValueMed Pharmacy. More than a pharmacy, ValueMed has thoughtful gift ideas to help celebrate the love you share with family, friends, and heartstrings. From designer perfumes and colognes, bath spa sets and grooming kits, to chocolates and specially curated Valentine's gift baskets, ValueMed Pharmacy has gift ideas and greeting cards to help connect and share with your loved ones, with free gift wrapping offered for any in-store purchases. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and Boddentown.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And as you can hear, I'm not Sterling, but he's right here. And, I want to thank Donnie for participating, and we're going to continue with Captain Kim. What you told us about the sand coming on down to where the dock is at, and the rest of the process.
All right. I was talking about Norberg condo, whatever you call it. I was going with Dr. Roberts in a car, my car, because we were real good friends, and we, when we finished in the afternoon, me and him used to go driving, and he said to me, he said, stop. I said, what happened? He said, look at what they're doing, digging that channel out. He said, you know what's going to happen. I said, well, tell me. He said, do you know Norberg? Or he didn't say Norberg, he said the man that built it. I said, oh, yeah, me and him good friends. He said, well, tell him he's going to lose the beach. Well, we were good friends. I was always kind of teasing him, you know. I said, you sure of that? He said, you know, you believe it. And he said, tell him that I want him to build a wall against the building, not out towards the sea, because that'll be the first thing to carry it. Build it against the wall. And I went and told him, he said, oh, hush, talking. And I would say 2 months, 3 months, he called me, he said, you know, the coconut trees fell down and gone. I said, well, I told you. And that was the beginning of that beach. It just went out, and there you go again now. Went in the channel where they dug. Well, anybody know that. Steve know that. Sand gonna go in the deep hole.
That's right.
And it went. And then the dock, the sand, like I just said, the sand from 7 Mile Beach, half of it goes under the piling, or supposedly, and then it goes up the Eden Rock and into the South Sound. And the two of them meets up, where we were talking about by Mr. Mitchell's house. And they didn't agree with one another, but they kept on, and it built a road. And Steve and we could never figure out when it happened. You know, you get up this morning and the road, the sun is gone. You know, and then you get up a month, a year, or whatever.
2 days later.
Yeah, back again, and you could walk out there on it. So Dr. Roberts studied it, and you know, he came back with this and that. But anyway, the whole thing, you take a bottle. I can tell you now, the way I learned it. Let's take a rum bottle, a big white bottle, and you put about that much sand in it, and you put the water in, just cover the sand, you know, and you do like this, you roll it, and you roll it, you roll it. You see it go into the end of the bottle, but if you roll it like this, it comes back, and the beach is there again. But now if you do this now, and hit that hard, going through the end in the sea. And that's what happens when you fool with stuff on the beach.
I think what the analogy that Captain Cam is presenting is that, you know, if you've got the waves, and there's big waves coming up, you know, on that beach all the time, coming in, and just gently, Mother Nature does their thing with it. It goes up, they bring sand with them, and the water settles down in the sand, and
the waves goes back out again. It loses its energy.
Right, but if it comes in with all the energy and slaps against a solid wall, then it takes the sand out with it. And basically, that's what's happened along all of these places where the erosion of the beaches have been really have happened, and it's on a accelerated process. And if something isn't done about it, then we're going to wind up. We'll have to go out on the reef, go swimming.
Well,
you know, it's you got something quickly you want to add?
Well, I would like to tell you everything, but if you want to know what happened, when we built the dock, we built that according to the iron shore. See?
The angle.
No, it was straight, or more or less, you know, a little. And the sand used to go to South Sound. See? And we built that dock, and we put the pilings, like I told you, and the dock was way out. Steve, you might remember. Way out, the ships used to dock on that. But now, I hate to say this, but somebody came along and had big brains. We can plug it.
Well, I think, if I can just put an interjection there, the original design of the dock allowed the currents to run
underneath it, yes.
On the second iteration, which Kem is just about to tell you, they plugged that up.
They plugged that up?
Oh, yeah. Look here, I talked to him, but Kem don't know about it, you know. If I'd had on a shirt with a necktie and...
It's true.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
No, I'm not joking.
Yeah, well,
this is something that I know because I done it. I built the dock. You know that. I done all underwater work, and that's what caused 7 Mile Beach. You see now, where 7 Mile Beach is? Huh? You know where it is?
Yes.
Pageant Beach.
It's on Pageant Beach now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
that now. If you was to do this dock over and get clear what they done, I'm not saying that it's going to go back, because South Sound not going to beach at all. Huh?
Well, you
go in at the nature, leave it alone. They dug that channel out, and that's it.
All right.
When it goes through that, now it goes out. The sand goes out over the reef, and that only one place that go in now.
Yeah.
Ocean.
Over the wall.
Over the drop off. Yeah. So it's lost. Well, you've heard it. It's a layman's explanation of the flow of the sand and all along 7 Mile Beach, and it happens all along all along the beach. And as I mentioned before, we saw it, we witnessed it years and years and years, and there were no walls to take the sand back out.
No.
It came up and it stayed there. Now, if we had a hurricane or a heavy nor'wester, yeah, sometimes they were heavy enough or severe enough that they took some sand out with them. But it wasn't long before they brought it back in. And I believe it's about news time that we have to go to here. And when we come back, we want to connect up with Captain Owen. And Captain Owen's been around for a long time, and he's walked 7 Mile Beach for I don't know how many years. And he witnessed how it was all happening. It was happening naturally. But when we impede that natural process, that natural flow, then we end up with what we got, and it's still happening. So, Paul, news time.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankins-Ollins. 100 Women in Finance looks forward to welcoming Global Ambassador Her Royal Highness the Countess of Wessex to the Cayman Islands from February 20th to the 22nd. For more information about 100 Women in Finance and their events, go to 100women.org/events or contact administration at 100women.org. In international news, a newborn baby and his mother have been rescued from rubble in Turkey around 90 hours after the first of Monday's deadly earthquakes. The 10-day-old boy was retrieved from a ruined structure. Footage showed the child being carefully taken out overnight, a sight described by local media as miraculous. Hopes of finding many more survivors are diminishing amid freezing cold weather 4 days after the disaster. French President Emmanuel Macron has said he is considering stripping Vladimir Putin of France's top honor. The Russian leader was presented with the Legion of Honor in 2006 by the former French president. The title is the highest French order of merit, both military and civil, and was established in 1802 by Napoleon Bonaparte. But Mr. Macron said he is waiting for the right moment to strip the Russian president of the title. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankins-Ollins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The Headline News are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the fifth child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott was a quiet-natured child who liked going on the bluff with his grandfather Oscar Brown, swimming every Saturday evening and playing cricket down where Miss Alamay's house sits now. He was very studious at Creek Elementary School and did very well under the tutelage of his favorite teacher, Miss Isley Connolly MBE. Following the tragic death of his father at sea, at age 14 he left school to work with Arnold Foster to support his family. In 1953 he joined his first ship, the Beretta, a local cargo vessel, signing on as deck boy, working his way up to boatswain. From 1953 until 2006, some 52 years, Captain Scott made his living working off the seas.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us. I'm very grateful to Mr. Loxley Banks for continuing to facilitate these discussions, assembling, wise counsel. So, Mr. Loxley, again, sir, thank you.
Well, I guess it takes it carries some wisdom with it, and I think it's time that the community, we as a community, start listening to some of what folks have to say about problems that we have. And on the line, we have Captain Owen. Captain, you there?
Yes, I am, Loxley.
Yeah, and I guess you've been listening a bit to the discussion about the beach erosion, so forth and so on, and I know you witnessed it being eroded and then coming back naturally, but and you've also, over the years, recent years, I would suppose, witnessed it eroding and not coming back because of the structures that has been placed too close to the waterline.
That's correct, Loxley. It was something to walk that beach. It didn't appear to be that far either, but you're walking and you're seeing birds and fish. But can I say, let us say, cool our memories, and let it be a catalyst to get some type of a committee going, and let it not go on no shelf. Let's see if we can put something together that we can get some action, that we can prevent any further erosion along that 7 Mile Beach. It affects all of us on the island, like what my field was saying. That's why we had to sell the island we had at one time, 7 Mile Beach. Well, it's just about gone, and it's unfortunate, but I heard enough in the discussion here today that you don't have to go and find somebody to tell you what happened to the sun. Mm-hmm. It came in, but it couldn't go back out. So, look, I won't take up any more time because I don't have anything new. than to say, for God's sake, let us keep this going. Put a little oil on the burner and keep it fired up and get something to stop now. We can't. I mean, we lost so much time now as it is. So I am satisfied that we know what happened to the sand.
Well, yeah, and you know, I guess probably you thinking about all that, your mind still goes back to those Big Belly Lambert chants, huh?
Yeah, right. If it hadn't had them, we would have had more sand too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with that, but it worked.
Yeah, well, you know, and those folks listening, you know, the Big Belly Lambert chant was, Stevie, you probably remember this, we'd be out running seas and you'd have the seas coming in 10, 15 foot high, and we still wanted them higher, and we would, we would sing the chant, roll him Big Belly Lambert, roll him high, roll him high. And it's amazing, though, you know, back in those days, how we could run over the reef and not get cut up. I cringy sometimes when I think, and you'd be coming down off a wave at an angle, and you look ahead, and you could see the pan shoal kind of coming out of the water, and well, you know you were going over it.
Yes, yes.
But Cap, thanks for joining us, and we'll keep in touch.
As I said, I would hope that, you know, something will come from this, and it would grow, and a meaningful
process.
I mean, you know, something will come up, and this thing will go on, and to try to say what's left of the 7 Mile Beach.
Right, sir. Okay, well, thanks for joining us, and
you're quite welcome.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Loxley, if I might, though, because with great respect to all you, and at my sort of opening salvo, I said the collective wisdom of the centuries and the like, and hopefully people saw it as not just something jovial, but a deference, as you said, Mr. Loxley, earlier, that collectively there are hundreds of years, you know, accumulated of walking the beach or living here. And I wonder, to what Captain Dwayne shared, we know the beach is disappearing. If I might, through you, Mr. Loxley, ask Mr. Nick, your perspective, you referenced Seychelles. We know what Australia has done relative to beach. We've seen the development and the redevelopment. We've seen parliamentary select committee, 20, 30, 100 stories in new building. If I could ask Mr. Nick, what do we do? Is it too late to say, as perhaps paraphrasing Ms. Consuelo, maybe we knock it all down and rebuild it? Perhaps, as someone suggested, do we knock down the buildings? Do we condemn them because they're so close to the shore that they've been structurally perhaps compromised?
They are, some of them.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah, I'll leave that to the engineers. But if I can, before I come to Mr. Kim, Mr. Nick, from your perspective, whether it's Seychelles, Bermuda, Australia, even Hawaii, do we knock them down and condemn them? Do we remove, as Mr. Donner had shared 20 odd years ago, the Casarenas? Give us a perspective, then I will come to Mr. Kim, perhaps.
In some cases, I think we do have to modify some of these buildings that are very close to the ocean. It's not going to be liked, but whose country is it? The other thing that I really want to stress is we, as Caymanians, as residents, we have to cooperate. We have to cooperate to the ultimate degree to make change. I mean, I had a thought yesterday, and I can look back well over 50 years on this island and its politics and its governance. And I asked myself the question, have governments going back through multiple administrations, have they been narcissistic, that they don't listen to the people, that they think they know better? The only answer I can give is yes. To a certain extent, they have thought themselves much better than anybody else, and that they had the answers. Not good enough.
Yeah. So, Mr. Lick, I know we do have a call online, and Captain Kim, respectfully, just for a sec. I'm looking at it from a perspective of someone who is at this age in the assembly of you gentlemen, the callers, being influenced by Mr. Donny. He's a civil engineer by training. Mr. Loxley referenced the offices he occupied within government. So putting that as a way to maybe consider the intellect, but also the expertise, but also the influence. Mr. Nick, with that, Mr. Donny shared sea grapes, cocoa plum. They're not just tasty. We knew what they do. I keep struggling with the name, that invasive green plant that seems to would grow anywhere. I've had, just in today's discussion, went with somebody, said, look, I want to see this plant, took a picture, date started, when it was planted, where it is now. And it's potentially destructive. But our vegetation, our buildings, and where we are. Leadership versus greed. Profiteering versus a propensity to do something for posterity. You sit amongst us decades and decades and decades. If we're not hearing the voice of the Captain Kems and Mr. Steves and the others, maybe we'll hear your voice. What do we tell our leadership? What do we tell our young people relative to our safety and security? It's not just the now, it's the tomorrow.
A lot of indigenous people, and particularly in our neighbor to the north, the United States, the indigenous peoples thought, we can't just plan for today. We've got to plan for 7 generations into the future. And that, I think, it goes without saying. It should be just common sense. It's not. The other thing that I have come across in working in the international community is that indigenous knowledge is not really paid attention to. Now, if the indigenous people from a country don't know what the country needs, who is really going to know? The scientists don't know. They have an academic education, but they don't know the country. So we've got to pay attention to people like Mr. Kem, who have that indigenous homegrown knowledge. We have to listen to them.
Mr. Locks, I know we have calls, but you, sir, through you.
Yeah, well, I think, what Nick was saying is right spot on. I mean, I don't think, suppose, let's hypothetically say they bring in someone to survey it. They're here for 6 months, but they cannot gather, smallest iota of the knowledge or the wisdom that someone who have walked the beach for 60 years, 40 years have seen. Because at times, those currents change, They could come in and the current could be flowing from northwest point going up to southwest point. And they make an assessment on that, but you come back 6 months later. And, a great analogy of that, I think, is, and I guess it was the late 30s or early 40s when the gold field went adrift. Brother Mike, you probably remember that one? Went adrift. And the Royal Navy came in here with, I think they had a amphibian plane on board that they could launch. And because they came in to help search for the gold field. They came ashore and they talked with Captain Reginald, and they pulled out all their maps and they said, well, the vessel has to be down here to the southwest. Uncle Reginald said, no, she's down here to the northwest. Well, they spent 3 days searching up in the southwest quadrant of the island and came up with no gold field. They came back in and said, let's talk to the old captain again. Apparently, Uncle Reginald told him, I told you she's down to the southwest. So they sent the plane down to the southwest. An hour and a half.
The northwest. Yeah.
Yeah, northwest. Well,
yeah.
No, southwest.
Southwest, right.
Southwest.
Opposite direction. Right.
Southwest.
Yeah.
In an hour and a half, the plane radioed back. We see the gold field below, and she has her standing jib up and heading towards Cayman. Gratson, you remember Gratson? Gratson Martin. He was the watchman on board because she had come in from Tampa loaded with whatever, all provision, and he had managed to get the standing jib up.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was headed back sitting in a wheel box, enjoying the cool breeze, and heading back to Cayman. So, it's...
a couple of calls, Mr. Loxton?
Yeah, we'll take a call.
Right. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
And good afternoon to each of you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, and offering much appreciation for all your knowledge and what you have tried to do. And I just wondered, based on what has been said, is it the developers to blame or what the planning department has allowed?
Well, ultimately, it's the planning department, because if the planning department hadn't given them permission, they could not have built there.
Okay, that's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And the planning department is continuing to give permission for things against the advice of people who know better, like you all. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
We got another call?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's take that one.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thanks to you guys. Good afternoon to all your gentlemen there. I'm not sure. Here, Mr. McField, Mr. Kim, and Mr. Loxley. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I didn't catch in the beginning, but I can hear there's a lot of, I know there's a lot of knowledge there. And like you say, it's so pitiful that indigenous Caymanians don't have no say. And they don't have, or people used to say they must be, their common sense can't be common enough for these people to be able to say that you know your waters better than anybody else. Regarding the erosion of the beaches, yes, it is a shame, and somebody, I could say, we could always say somebody needs to go to jail for all this racket that's going on. That's my opinion. But the Sorai that is sitting right in front of Dixon Cemetery, that is right on the water. What's going to happen? Maybe that's one of the prime ones you need to start knocking down, because that one, we know how Cayman is shifting sand. When the sand shift from there and it destroys that my beach, what's going to happen then? I mean, that's a number one building that shouldn't have. That's a so right to the public. I mean, I even have tourists that ask. I drive tour bus, and they said, why would we allow a building of that magnitude to go in front of the graveyard? And not even on the roadside of the graveyard, but on the seaside. He said he's from Key West, and he said that would never happen. They would never have done that. He said we should never allow that. He said nobody should allow that building to go down there.
I guess you're referring to the building that's would be the south side of the
graveyard, Georgetown graveyard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you not only go on the south side, you go on the west side of the graveyard.
Yeah. That's right.
I know they could be rolling over that grave now.
Well, hopefully that these exposures can enlighten the power brokers that something has to be done, and it has to be done quickly.
Of course, and again another one. We can see it coming, and they overhead by the yacht club where the high-rise and road that we still believe that there's going to be a there. Oh, the road there to connect the north sound with the west side. I mean, what is your opinion on that? I mean, my father, who is younger than you guys are, he said that anyhow they do that, the silt come off the mangroves that are on that side. Where you get a leakage of the rain scene that go. He said it will destroy the 7 Mile Beach, and he said there's nobody should have accept that road to be cut open there, because that's going to be ruining the 7 Mile Beach right there.
Yeah. Well, we thank you for your call and your knowledge and what you're suggesting, and hopefully that somebody will be listening. And do we need to go to another break?
No, call.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Paul. You're welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Sterling.
Good afternoon, I don't remember. How are you, sir?
Oh, alive, well, and kicking. Good afternoon to you. Sorry. Good afternoon to your esteemed guest.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is Cletus.
Okay, Gladys. I knew we'd get you here. So
You did? Oh.
yeah, I knew it.
You're a man of a lot of wisdom, so. Okay. No, I just like to chime in for a bit and say how during my tenure as director of planning, some people have accused me of also contributing to the erosion on 7 Mile Beach and a number of other things. But one thing we have to remember first and foremost is that the CPA, Central Planning Authority, Planning Board, Planning Department, they are two separate entities. The Planning Department make recommendations, the CPA accept or reject them or modify whatever. But in most instances, the CPA is the one who makes the decision. Those decisions should be made in light of the planning regulations. Now, the planning regulation gives the CPA the authority to use the discretion in certain instances. So, yes, we can beat up on the planning department as much as we want, but it's in most instances it's ultimately the CPA and our elected officials who are supposed to enact the necessary legislation. Okay, now back in the early 2000s, when we had a financial downturn and Mr. Bush was then the leader of government business.
Mm-hmm.
He said we need now to do something to stimulate development. What can we do? So we looked at it and came up with the idea that since we don't really have any quote-unquote tax breaks that we could give a person, what we could do is give them maybe a little increased density in order so that they don't lose anything by setting their buildings farther back from the sea. What they lose sort of horizontally, they gain vertically. So we were able to convince Mr. Bush and his government that two things, maybe three. One, let's change the setback measuring line from low water mark, which is somewhere out there in the sea.
Yeah. We got a picture of that right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a point up on the land that under normal conditions you can go there with a surveying instrument and locate it. So we moved it back from the low water mark to the high water mark, which in most instances gain between 10 and 20 feet. We then set it back from the high water mark an additional 30 feet. So where the setback used to be initially 100 feet from low water mark, it is now 130 feet from high water mark. That move in itself almost set the buildings back roughly 50 feet more than they would have been under the regulations that was enforced at the time. So I want to publicly thank Minister Bush and his government at that time for accepting those recommendations. Because shortly after that, we saw a number of the older condos. All right. The older.
Not going there, sir.
The older condominiums.
Sorry.
Being demolished and rebuilt further back, but a little higher. So we gave them, so what the basic laws horizontally, we gave them vertically plus a couple of additional units. And we didn't have any kickback from the builders.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we contributed to at least getting the buildings back at least 50% more than they were under the 1977 regulation.
Well, Ken, from your opinion, and you were director of planning, as you mentioned, and you've got all kind of training behind you, and I know you've walked the beaches all around. What do you think that? What would be your opinion of a good setback from where the water laps at the beach, and it was right ready to surf. You say it's about 100 feet now.
No. Under the seven regulations, it used to be 100 feet from low water mark.
Oh, okay.
Now it's 130 feet minimum from the high water mark.
What do you think that's that? Oh, from the high water mark.
From the high water mark.
Oh.
Yeah. Now we have some aerial photography that goes back in the 60s, so it's quite easy to physically re-establish the old vegetation line. If you look at the resting, that was sort of built more or less back on the original footprint of the old galleon.
Right. Yeah.
So they're quite a bit back from the Casarina trees, or the beaten arrow trees, like most of us call it.
Right. Yeah.
And again, we had a lot of trouble with the. I think it was the Youngs that developed that. Huh?
Well, I think they came in later, but it was Mike. What was the millionaire that came down here in late 40s that started the galleon?
No. I thought
the Western.
The Western. Yeah. I think it was the Young. Yeah.
Again, it had some kickbacks. Or pushback, not kickbacks. Pushback.
Incentives and concessions.
But we're able to convince them that it's in your long-term interest to not try and get too close to the sea. And I think that's probably one of the few areas that you really doesn't experience any erosion.
Right. They still got a nice beach there.
Yeah. We tried to get the Marriott to go back. No. A lot of condos. No. And now what? The chickens are coming home to roost.
Well, that is what I was just thinking, Ken. Marriott got what they deserved.
Yeah. And now government is contemplating, at least this was pushed or a couple of years ago, about $20 million to replenish.
Well, caller, my take on that is that I would not spend a penny until they move the structures back. When they move the structures from the beach, I would then try to mitigate the loss on the beach and mitigate the damage to the beach. But I would not spend a dime right now to give them money to dump up sand there to waste $20 million. That's right. $20 million could send a lot of Caymanian people to college and build a lot of homes to some Caymanian people who are homeless. I would not do that to them.
Well,
Dr. Maxfield, I'm with you 100%, sir.
And this process they call replenishing, and I spent about 25 years up in Florida, and the beach erosion, it's worldwide. I mean, it's all over, and Florida has much beach erosion. And I remember, it was the early 60s, it was the late 50s, when one of the biggest hotels, the most opulent hotel on the beach, the Fontainebleau.
Fontainebleau, yes.
Fontainebleau.
Yeah.
And right next door to it was the Eden Rock. And they extended their pool deck out. And they started to have this erosion. And they brought engineers in, try to make it short as they can. And they recommended all kind of things that they built big concrete structures in the form of jacks. You remember the jacks that they used to get in the Cracker Jack?
Yes.
I'm not sure what technical what that's called. And put them out there. That didn't help. Then they built walls out in the sea on the property lines. That didn't help. The only thing that helped them was to put a dredge out on the edge of the Gulf with some scutters, I think it's called them, big barges out there pumping, and all they pumped up was mashed up seashells, and bring it in and put it on the beach. And that's a continuous process, costing them, at that time, I think they quoted something like $4 million a day to maintain that process.
Because
yeah.
what I was going to say, usually with that Florida or Gulf Coast replenishment, it only lasted for perhaps 8 years, according to the statistics that I've seen.
Yeah, well, some of them didn't last that long if they got a heavy nor'easter coming in.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, erosion is not unique to Cayman.
No.
Beach erosion, it happens globally, and a number of countries have taken some different approaches, but the main cause of all that is building too many hard structures too close to the sea.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And Ken, you can confirm this. One of the most evident places now to see that is just go down by where we used to call the Big Gun, or at the foot of, I guess it's West Church Street that goes out into the beach there.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, that's a charm, eh?
Yep. But Ken,
yes, sir.
Yeah, we thank you for your input, and like I said, I know we'd catch your ear. So thanks for calling in, eh? And
my pleasure, sir. And you all have a great weekend.
I'm kind of looking for a call from Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Maybe he's on the line later. I think
no, he's actually at a retreat today. It's going to a WhatsApp from him a little earlier. He's at a retreat today, so.
Oh, okay.
I doubt he'll call today.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Ian.
You're most welcome, and say have a great weekend.
It does, sir. I think Mr. Kim has a short thing to say here quickly.
Not too short. While I was doing this thing with the university, Dr. Roberts said to me one day, he said, Kim, is it hard to talk to the government? I said, no. But, Benson was in the government, and you could walk in and you had to wait, but you could speak to him. I said, is that okay? Oh, yeah. So we went and made it, and he said to Benson, just like this. He said, now, Mr. Ebanks, this man that's sitting by me, this Kim Jackson, Benson, know that. And he said, you got to make up your mind whether you're going to ruin 7 Mile Beach or you're going to ruin the North Sound. Well, Benson said, well, thank you. But now, just think about it now. He was absolutely right, Only thing he did ruining both things. You take the North Sound now. Locklear, I know what I'm going to talk about. My grandfather, Uncle Bob, everybody knows him. And he went around when he was young and got all the conch shells, see? Because you know to break the shell and throw them down by the dog. And he told them, said, listen now, I'm going to make a thing here, and I want everybody to do it. And everybody kept on doing it. And Sterling, and it became a place with lobsters, fish, and everything. Now comes along
dredging project.
Yeah. And it's gone. But I was in the Bahamas at that time. I told somebody if I had been there, they would have had to grind me up along with them conch shells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was
it's just there. I don't know what to say.
Well,
why would anybody want to destroy that?
And because it probably meant nothing to them, but it was a big mound of what it was called, the conch shells. It was. In circumference, bigger than this room.
It was in the sea?
Yeah, right off the back there. Right off of what you call Uncle Bob back there.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it was
gone.
It was probably 4 feet high, and it was all mounded up in
It was like this.
Yeah. You pyramid type thing, conch shells, pure conch shells, and you go around there, you top out your line. 2 minutes, you had a big stopper. Or you look down, you want a lobster, you go down and pick up a lobster. But in dredging projects that came in a lot of years, and I think it might have happened before I came back home too. Also, they just ground it up. It no longer exists.
No, it's gone.
Yeah. So it's these are things that, you know, when you think about it, really kind of irritates you a bit. Now, do we have to take a break now?
Yes, sir.
So we'll go and take a break, and we'll come right back.
Valentine's Day is around the corner. Your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, is here. Valentine's Day cards, gifts, and more. Don't break the bank to show your love this Valentine's Day. Whether you're shopping early or scrambling last minute, Valentine's Day made easy at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
February is here. Don't let the motivation fade. The MedLab team would like to encourage you to stick with your 2023 resolutions. Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day is back! The 54th Annual Agricultural Show at the Stacey Watler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. Raffle tickets are on sale now. And for only $25, you can win $20,000 and so many other prizes. Raffle tickets include general admission to the show. For more information, visit them on Facebook or CaymanAgriculture.com.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter will be taking appointments from February 13th to 18th at his Crew Road Clinic. Clinic appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Grand Cayman, the concert you've been waiting for is almost here. Cayman Airways, the Ministry of Tourism, Palmyra Development, and Tortuga presents three-time Grammy Award winner Gramps Morgan. Gramps Morgan.
What I'm feeling. Hey, Gramps Morgan here, telling you about my appearance. Man, listen, man, we're moving from the Mango Tree to the Lion Center. Seeing February 18, 8 o'clock. So we're moving from February 11th to the 18th. Date has been pushed back 1 week because the ticket sales have been overwhelming. I'm excited to see most of you guys. New date, get your tickets now. Gramps Morgan live, February 18, Cayman Islands. Gramps Morgan. Blessings.
Tickets are $45 pre-sold. VIP tables available. Get online at CaymanEvents.co or at Mango Tree. Part of the proceeds to Meals on Wheels. Gramps Morgan.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? Nope, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG Brit-K. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thank you very much for joining us. And thanks too for the opportunity to be able to learn. To Mr. Loxler for helping us to appreciate. Maybe Mr. Loxler is listening. I'm wondering, if you're 50, if you're 25, or if you're 15, or if you happen to be like some of us, the precocious 5-year-old, are you feeling like it's too late to save the beach? Is it that we're going to not be able to not only access the beach, but there'll be no beach to walk on?
Well, I don't think you should look at anything from the perspective of too late. But I think if something isn't done immediately to arrest the process that's on a accelerated pathway, that pretty soon it'll all be gone. And once it's gone, with the process that's presently happening, it's not going to come back. So
if I could ask then, again, it's not to provoke discussion, not to provoke anybody, not even doing other than to maybe get us to the table to discuss. If we look at where we are, if we understand the implications for, say, the last 2.5, 3 decades of, vegetation being removed and the development, the pace, the placing and the like. If we're looking at redevelopment, we've seen buildings come down, we see buildings that have been approved, but for whatever reason, we understand that they're holding off. People are saying, well, it's probably because they're waiting for the new regulations to come in that allow the building to go from 10 stories to 30 stories or 50 stories, or is it economics? Whatever the reasons are, is it now an opportune time to say, no, no more building, no, you can't do this, Mr. Loxley?
I think with some of the statistics that I heard over the last couple of days, I think, Mike, you made reference to that, or I'm sure you're aware of the community, the Cayman Islands community.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a hard look at that and look at if we can arrest the problem where it's at and, plan of what from the Caymanian perspective would be a safe and as efficient as we could produce pathway forward. But if you don't arrest the situation that's happening, then what do the old people say? Dog eat your supper. Mike, you might want to.
Well, I have to be so careful because remember now, I'm chairman of the Planning Appeals Tribunal. So if they said no and they appeal, it comes before us.
Yeah.
If they said yes and people said we shouldn't say yes, the planning appeal shouldn't say yes, they still come to an appeal.
Yeah.
So I have to be so careful about what I say about a proposed planning operation because it might wind up.
Yeah. So, Mr. Macfield, respectfully then,
yes.
no, and I do apologize for posing that question, not even something to think of you in the many hats that you wear, so forgive me for that. But maybe to you again, Mr. Nick, only because of, again, we see if those are watching us on YouTube. Let me then ask it this way. Is there then a lack of will, political, societal, but political will and leadership, that if we're faced with this thing at this time, is it as a community, we don't appreciate the urgency, the importance of it? It's not just about beach access. It may actually be about our own safety in terms of bad weather and the like, but maybe it's a consideration for historical and cultural context. Whatever the reason, if we're faced with this opportune time to consider addressing, and to Mr. Loxley's words, arresting, whether people or other things, some of the things, can we do it, and if so, how?
I will ask a question.
To the question.
No, not. But I'm going to maybe head off in a slightly different direction. And as I have sort of said in a couple of asides to Steve, what is all the development doing for Caymanians? Mm-hmm. As far as I'm concerned, we have no affordable housing. And this is insane. Mm-hmm. What are the social and political outcomes of this going to be? We already have Caymanians moving to the United Kingdom because they can get the dole on which to survive. Mm-hmm. I mean, as it is now, Caymanians, the average Caymanian certainly, is getting priced out of the housing market. Where is that going to leave us? It's time to put the brakes on. We have to make changes.
And coming back to just what he said, I think if we need more than that, but there needs to be the fundamental question needs to be answered, and it's been posed as long as I can remember. Well, let's say no, it's not quite that long, because the same process didn't exist then. But the question has been asked for a long time: who are we developing for?
Well, it's not for Caymanians. Yeah. It's not for Caymanians. I mean, I can answer that question. It's not for Caymanians. Someone was speaking to me earlier about a sign they had seen someplace, maybe it's Caymanian Bay or someplace, it's development for young
couples.
Young couples, so forth. Young couples or young business people or young.
That was me that said that.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah. And you $900,000 for the apartment. I mean, what Caymanians, who even old people, Caymanians can't afford $900 for an apartment.
900,000.
900,000. It's obvious. It's obvious that we are not in the equation. They have bypassed us now, and in fact, they don't really need us anymore now. They don't really need us anymore now, because just look at it. You were talking about the statistics about the work permits. 34,000 people on work permits. 6,000, 5,000 cleaners, gardeners, and whatever it is, and then all of those other people are in the hospitality industry. Now, they're making $4.50 an hour. And people like all the security guards and gardeners are making $6, $7 an hour. We have, if they hear 8 years, 9 years, we have to consider now, and I'm chairman I'm chairman of the Permanent Residential Board and Status Board. We have to consider whether or not they're eligible. They're eligible, but we have to consider not whether they are going to get a permanent residence and then move on to become Caymanians. Look at this picture now. Most of these people, once they're working and then they get married to other people making the same amount of money, because water finds its own level. They're making $8 an hour, $10 an hour between them. Maybe they can sustain themselves in a one-room situation now. And bearing in mind, they have to pay the same amount of money for the dozen of eggs.
Milk.
That the person who is making $2 million a year is paying. He has to pay the same amount. There's no third economy for him, like in Jamaica or someplace in the Caribbean, where you can go to the market and you can get 10 cents worth of beans and 15 cents worth of rice and stuff, and you can live that way. You can't have that in Cayman. They won't allow that in Cayman to happen. So here now, what happens 25 years from now when all of those people now are retired and they're no longer making $4.50 an hour and their pensions are not $1,000 a month like other people? What's going to happen to them? And who's going to take care of them? It's going to have to be the Caymanian government, the Caymanian people, taking care of them. So here we are, bringing all these people, developing, and the people who are getting the money from the development, they don't have to live in Cayman. They probably have a house in Costa Rica, and in Colorado, or someplace else, and they're getting the money. But the greed of bringing all of the, in other words, what we do, importing a lot of poverty in the country, just for 2% of the people to earn all the money. This pyramid has an apex where 2% of the people controls all the economics, and the whole base is not but poor people. You think about that. You think about that picture you see that picture in your mind's eye. And so development is not for Caymanians. Caymanians can't go to Indigo Bay and buy an apartment. Caymanians can't go to these places and buy an apartment. Caymanians can't even find housing. Some Caymanians can't even feed themselves right now. And you wonder, like, what has happened to us? What has happened to our position all during the years? Remember, in the 1960s and 70s, when we were discussing the whole thing about full internal self-government and independence, and the politicians were saying, "Oh well, we don't need that because we are economically independent." We were economically independent.
Yes, yeah.
What happened to that economic independence?
No.
What happened to all those people who could afford to go out and buy a house and buy a piece of land and help their children buy a piece of land? What happened to all of those? What happened to all of that time? It's like it's like a new conquest. It's like the movies you see in the West when they were moving west. And the people who were living there, they moved them out, they pushed them out. The little small
colonization?
Colonization. Mm-hmm. That's what it seems to me. And I mean, I can't do anything about it. I have no power. Because it seems to me that the Caymanian people choose not to say anything about their position, about their justice position in the country. They'll talk on the telephone and put things on Facebook. But they will not stand up and go and say, "I'm sorry, but we had enough. We're not going to take this anymore." They're not going to say that.
Let me mention another thing. And I have spent time in Singapore. Mm-hmm. Interesting little country. Mm-hmm. Was a colony, was an English colony. They got independence in the early 70s. Got independence in Seychelles in the early 70s.
Singapore.
Singapore. But since then, they have built over 1 million units of affordable housing. Mm-hmm. 1 million units. Now, they have a bigger population, of course. And guess who builds and sells these apartments? The government of Singapore. In fact, they will give you a mortgage. And should the breadwinner die, that family will get to stay in that apartment until the youngest child is working, and then they can start repaying the mortgage. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Here, where mortgages come from? Private sector. And by God, if you don't pay on time, you'll lose that house. Mm-hmm. But we've got to start building affordable housing, and the only way to do it that makes financial sense is to go vertical.
Mm-hmm. But maybe not build an affordable housing, but make housing affordable.
Mm-hmm. We have a finite amount of land. It might not look at it when you drive around, but when you think, we're going solar more and more, there are going to be more utility scale solar farms, which take up land. If you can find a inland lake or something like that, yes, some solar can be put on that. But if we want to produce electricity at a reasonable cost, we've got to do more and more solar. And it all takes land. So Singapore, they go up to a maximum of 10 stories and various size apartments, various cost levels. But we have got to start doing that. Because, where is it leaving Caymanians? It's leaving us far behind. Not good enough.
We do have a break, but we will have 2 calls, Mr. Loxley. Paul, the news is almost there. Can we take the calls and just squeeze the break just shortly? Mm-hmm. Mr. Loxley, what do you think?
Yeah, well, take the calls. Let's take the calls.
Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Uh-huh.
Me again. Listening to your knowledgeable men that are forefathers there that is trying to give us a little bit of knowledge about the Cayman Islands, and we appreciate it. I want to ask Mr. Loxley and Mr. McPeel. I mean, not the other gentleman that I appreciate him too. I don't mean it that way, but I can hear that he may not be what we call it, indigenous Caymanian, but here he got very low for the Cayman Islands, and I thank him very much. But again, it's a little different. It's dealing with our generation, but it's not really on the erosion part. But we want to know, as indigenous Caymanians, we're trying to put a petition together, and we're calling on the government to put some laws in place. We're hoping they're not too late for it now. Put some laws in place for our water sports and our taxes industrial, as indigenous Caymanians. And when I say indigenous Caymanians, I'm talking about generation Caymanian. You can say who your grandfather was, so you didn't just come and marry in and become a Caymanian, or give me $1 million and become a Caymanian. We are putting a petition out there, and I don't know how you guys feel that we should go that route, because right now, as we can see where they're going. If you see the last comment about the luxury cruises from the Ritz-Carlton. Now, and I know who they're catering for. They're not catering for the poor average Caymanian that has made Cayman what it is. I mean, in North Sound out there, Dwayne's father, Mr. Ebanks, and the other gentleman, Mr. Macfield, knows who developed this gym that everybody's coming to reap. But I don't think we're petitioning the government to put we got a moratorium right now on no more businesses. But we're trying to put a moratorium that you must be a Caymanian generation. Seeing how they got the law to become eligible to be able to run for office. We want that same law, how they can do it to protect them as a MLA. We want that same law for us to protect us in the North Sound and the taxes, because right now we are outnumbered, and there's not too many generation Caymanians that can probably afford to go buy a $2 million boat to accommodate the North Sound. But their small boats is what made the North Sound the value that everybody's now coming to reap the benefit. Those same small boats is what we have made Cayman what it is. And now they want these luxury boats. So we know they're not catering for us.
Well, I think your suggestion, it comes down to, I think the community has to speak up, and by whatever process that is chosen, and hopefully that the power brokers and the lawmakers and whoever will listen, because they basically work for us.
Yes,
and
or it's supposed to be.
Yeah. But we thank you for your call. I think we got another call. We want to take that before the break? No, okay, we're going to break. And then we'll ask caller to hang on, and we're going to speak with Captain Paul in just a little bit after that.
Valentine's Day is around the corner. Your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, is here. Valentine's Day cards, gifts, and more. Don't break the bank to show your love this Valentine's Day. Whether you're shopping early or scrambling last minute, Valentine's Day made easy at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway we're introducing the new boneless hot sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. The Alex Panton Foundation has announced that the 2023 Youth Mental Health Symposium will be held in person on Saturday, February 18th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Ritz-Carlton, Grand Cayman. The 6th annual event returns with the theme, Let's Talk About Trauma. In international news, Russia's latest aerial attack on Ukraine saw missiles cross Moldovan airspace, Ukrainian and Moldovan officials have said. Mr. Zelensky said the missiles represented a challenge to NATO. A Russian government spokesperson deflected questions about the incident. Moldova's government has collapsed, and its pro-EU prime minister has stepped down after 18 months of political and economic turbulence. Europe's poorest country was struggling with multiple crises. With the war raging in neighboring Ukraine, Moldova has been facing inflation, high energy prices, a refugee influx, and Russian aggression. The news came just hours after Russian missiles flew over Moldovan airspace. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Today's biggest news. Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Things are so busy. Two things I always seem to forget: to look after myself and Valentine's Day. Best Health Pharmacy, the game changer, fellas. Stocking purses, perfumes, jewelry, not to mention filling my prescriptions and medicinal needs with free prescription delivery in Georgetown and West Bay. Best Health Pharmacy, located at Crown Square Plaza on Eastern Avenue across from Edie's Decor. Making my life a bit easier this Valentine's Day. WhatsApp your prescription to 924-5358. Best Health Pharmacy. Your health, your convenience is their priority.
Ro Variety, centrally located in Tropical Plaza on Smith Road, carrying a wide range of household items, bathroom accessories, towels, clocks, handbags, clothes, shoes, jewelry, and more, and more, and more. You can buy from the big box retailers or support local. The better deals come from shopping local. Ro Variety Store, Tropical Plaza, Smith Road. Telephone 924-9553.
J&M Money touching down again. Now you can send your US dollars at any location on island, including the BRAC. It's easy. Just walk with your US dollars. No need to convert to CI. This is another convenient service available at J&M Money. They always find a way to make it easier and hassle-free. So remember, when you need to send your money and you only have US dollars, don't ever think of what to do. Just head straight to any J&M Money location and send your money the fast, convenient, and affordable. J&M Money. J&M Money. Touching down again. J&M Money. Ranga to la friend.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Coming in hot. Coming in hot for the Red Dot sale only at Reflections. Red Friday is one day only. This Friday, February 10th, nearly everything must go. Clearance sale on men's and women's shoes. Nike, Reebok, Adidas, Puma, Dockers, and more. Limited styles available. Get yours before they're gone. Spot the Red Dot on any tagged item and receive up to 50% off. Ladies, save up to 50% off on clothing. Just in time to find your perfect Valentine's outfit or Valentine's gift with lingerie and personal massages at 10% off. Save on dresses, blouses, pants, and find even greater savings in our clearance baskets. Men, spot the Red Dot on any tagged item and receive up to 50% off on brands like US Polo, Dockers, and 20% off on all gym apparel. Levi jeans starting at $34. There is something for everyone at Red Friday at Reflections, one day only. This Friday, February 10th. Reflections Clothing Store located on Cheddar Road beside the mango tree across from Kirk Napa. Open Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 to 9 p.m.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean, and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
February is here. Don't let the motivation fade. The MedLab team would like to encourage you to stick with your 2023 resolutions.
Valentine's Day is around the corner. Your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, is here. Valentine's Day cards, gifts, and more. Don't break the bank to show your love this Valentine's Day. Whether you're shopping early or scrambling last minute, Valentine's Day made easy at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The Lions Club of Cayman Brack presents the Pre-Valentine's Variety Show, Saturday, February 11th, 7 p.m. at the Aston Rutty Civic Center, featuring a host of local entertainment in music, dance, fashion, with MC Cheryl T of Grand Cayman. Admission is $10. Food and beverages will be on sale, with proceeds benefiting community projects. The Lions Club of Cayman Brack Pre-Valentine's Variety Show, Saturday, February 11th, 7 p.m. at the Aston Rutty Civic Center.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
People say she's only in my head. It's gonna take time, but I'll forget. They say I need to get on with my life. They don't realize it's when you're dialing 6 numbers just to hang up the phone, driving across town just to see if she's home, waking a friend in the dead of night just to hear him say it's gonna be alright. When you find the things to do not to fall asleep, 'cause you know she'll be there in your dreams, that's when she's more than a memory. Took a master everything she ever wrote. Watched her words go up in smoke. Tore all the pictures off the wall. Helping me at all. 'Cause when you're talking out loud but nobody's there, you look like hell and you just don't care. Drinking more than you ever drank, sinking down lower than you ever sank. When you find yourself falling down upon your knees, praying to God, begging him please, that's when she's more than a memory. She's more. She's more. 'Cause when you're dialing her number just to hang up the phone, driving across town just to see if she's home, waking a friend in the dead of night just to hear him say it's gonna be alright. When you find the things to do not to fall asleep, 'cause you know she's waiting in your dreams, that's when she's more than a memory. People say she's only in my head. It's gonna take time, but I'll forget. I can tell you there's someone I can't forget. Someone that I'm not over yet. I can say most anything at all when I'm talking to your picture on the wall. I can take you down and hold you in my hands. Tell you that I hope you'll understand. And I can say it's not your fault at all when I'm talking to your picture on the wall. But when we're face to face, I just can't face the truth and say the words I know would break your heart in two. And telling you it's over and we can't go on this way is the hardest thing I'll ever have to do. Oh, but it's easy for me to say goodbye to a photograph I know ain't gonna cry. I don't have to see the tears that fall when I'm talking to your picture on the wall. Oh, I'm talking to your picture on the wall.
My dear son, it's almost June. I hope this letter catches up with you and finds you well. It's been dry, but they're calling for rain, and everything's the same old same in Johnsonville. Your stubborn old daddy ain't said too much, but I'm sure you know he sends his love. And she goes on in a letter from home. I hold it up and show my buddies like we ain't scared and our boots ain't muddy, and they all laugh like there's something funny about the way I talk when I say mama sends her best, y'all. I fold it up and put it in my shirt, pick up my gun and get back to work. And it keeps me driving on, waiting on letters from home. My dearest love, it's almost dawn. I've been lying here all night long, wondering where you might be. I saw your mama and I showed her the ring. Man on a television said something, so I couldn't sleep. But I'll be alright, I'm just missing you. And This is me kissing you, X's and O's, in a letter from home. I hold it up and show my buddies like we ain't scared and our boots ain't muddy, and they all laugh 'cause she calls me honey, but they take it hard 'cause I don't read the good part. I fold it up and put it in my shirt, pick up my gun and get back to work, and it keeps me driving on, waiting on letters from home. Dear son, I know I ain't written. I'm sitting here tonight alone in the kitchen. It occurs to me I might not have said it, so I'll say it now. Son, you make me proud. I hold it up and show my buddies like we ain't scared and our boots ain't muddy, but no one laughs 'cause there ain't nothing funny when a soldier cries, and I just wipe my eyes. I fold it up and put it in my shirt, pick up my gun and get back to work, and it keeps me driving